Welcome back to another episode of Distilled. I'm Steve Ween, founder of Distillery. Today, we've got something entirely different for you. I'm excited to dive into who Tilly Norwood really is, how she was created, why she is created, and if we are witnessing the third genre of entertainment. Joining me is Eline Van de Velde. She's a physicist turned filmmaker, and she is the creator of Tilly Norwood. Tilly Norwood, the world's first AI actress, whose launch last year sparked an industry-wide debate that challenged the very definition of performance. Eline, welcome to Distilled.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. I mean, in late 2025, you sent shockwaves through the media industry with the launch of Tilly Norwood. For those who haven't met Tilly yet, who is she? What drove you to create her, and what does she mean for marketing and entertainment as we know them?
Yeah, it was quite a whirlwind of a 2025. I mean, I started building her in February. And I mean, I thought it would be kind of crazy because I was so shocked by the tech and where it was at. And when I was making it, I was like, whoa, and I was showing her around at South by Southwest. And, everyone was amazed by her. And then we released her properly in a comedy sketch in around July in the UK. And the response was quite positive. Like there was nothing major crazy about it. And so I just felt compelled to keep showing the creative community what we were able to do with AI and creating an AI character, an AI actor in this case, called Tilly Norwood. And end of September, I went to Zurich Film Festival. I mean, I was speaking at lots of events and showing her, but it was really at that event that she blew up because the real Hollywood was there, and they wrote this headline about, agents circling her, which is true, because we were just following, the path of many AI influencers who are assigned by agents. And I think a lot of people got very upset about that. And so it caused this huge PR storm for Tilly, which was quite amazing to watch it play out, really. And what we felt at the time was the right thing to do is just give it some time to breathe, let people, which I needed when I first saw what AI could do, is just come to the realization of this, let it sink in for humans, let humans debate what this means. And that's really what we wanted, is to open up the conversation and to let people understand it.
Mm-hmm. From what I saw, it was quite a divisive response.
Oh, yeah.
And, I can imagine why people were quite upset. There's been a lot of talk in the industry about people losing their jobs. But on the other side of the coin, why do you think people were getting so excited?
Well, because it just gives you a lot of freedom as me as an artist. Like when I work with these tools, I get very excited because I feel like a kid, with endless creativity, like being able to create what I want to create really quickly and having that quick feedback is really satisfying as a creator, as an artist. So I totally understand the negative side and how the fear that people have, right? But I also think we need to then think logically and rationally, like, hold on, Tilly hasn't actually taken anybody's job. Mm-hmm. She hasn't replaced anybody in a film. We've created a character, and we're creating jobs, actually, because, there's a whole team behind her. People forget that there's humans, loads of humans. There's me and there's 15 people working on Tilly and bringing her to life and making her world come to life, which will be happening in 2026. So I'm a very optimistic person, and I'm a glass half full kind of gal. So I'm like, okay, I could be really upset about all this AI stuff and how it's probably trained on my materials that I've put on YouTube and I've put out there in the world in my previous lifetime as a comedian and an actor. Or I could, take all that knowledge that humankind has created and it's been ingested into a system, and I'm going to build on the top of the shoulders of giants and go forth and see what I can create going forth. And that's the position I've taken, and that's what's been really fun for me to explore.
As a creative practice, we really see AI as an enabler for creativity, being able to unlock new territories and get closer to audiences like we've never before. What do you see as the opportunity for AI in creativity, from your learnings with Particle 6 and Tilly?
I think it's like I usually say it's a calculator for the creative mind.
I love that. Do you think, on the shoulders of the giants, do you think you're sort of launching a third genre, if you like?
Yeah, we usually say like this another medium, right? This AI stuff. However, what we're seeing now is that slowly traditional film and TV is actually being muddled very quickly with AI. Like most of the stuff people are shooting now is going to be hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So very quickly the two will merge together. And I think the hybrid element will still stay with real actors and a lot of AI. And eventually we'll also have alongside it full AI with AI characters, which is being produced already. So yes, we will definitely get that.
Mm-hmm. Do you think audiences are ready for Tilly?
Yeah, some audiences. Yeah, not everyone, but yeah, she's got a huge amount of fans. And if you look at Asia, they've got loads of AI idols, and it's a thing. Like, why not? Because I also just think, when we think of a Taylor Swift or a Brad Pitt, I think most of the population finds it really hard to understand that they are real people anyway, because they're on a pedestal. And you remember those pages that you used to have in like People magazine where it's like, they're just like us, and they were like picking up groceries or like dropping their kids at school. And it's because people find it really hard to comprehend that they are normal people. Like I think even Taylor Swift in her interview in a documentary recently was like, gosh, then there's this huge image of her, and she just is like, that's another thing that's just following me. Then there's the real person, and I think it's the same with Tilly. There's Tilly and there's me. I think it's okay to have this creation that's bigger than us. I mean, like the Greek gods or mythical creatures, we've always created them.
For marketers listening, the idea of this digital twin or an autonomous brand ambassador is really fascinating. The traditional brand ambassador is static, perhaps they'll appear in an ad when we watch them. But with a character like Tilly or a digital twin, does the nature of that relationship fundamentally change?
I mean, I didn't create her to sell.
Mm-hmm.
That was, it was for entertainment purposes. I think I personally am not someone who buys something because an influencer tells me to.
Mm-hmm.
But I will buy something from someone who I know who tells me to, right? So I think the trust factor is really important when you're talking about marketing. And so I think if I were to create an AI character to sell and to create trust, I always say that like British Airways would have like Patricia, and Patricia would welcome you to the airplane and she would sell you your tickets. And, I do think you can create these really trustworthy characters that people would have this trust with. And so yes, I think that will happen.
Do you think that can happen at scale? Because that is the marketer's dream, building one-to-one relationships with many, many customers, because that's one of, Patricia can meet many, many people joining the plane. And I love that idea. Do you think that there's that opportunity for Tilly and characters like Tilly?
Yeah. I definitely, I would probably create a different character. I think Tilly's quite rebellious, so I don't know.
Come on, that sounds like fun.
She is fun. Like, she's for entertainment purposes, so she's meant to be fun. Patricia maybe is more of a trustworthy character, and she's more caring, and you can already see that in Elon Musk's Grok characters. Like, you can have really quite persuasively, flirty characters that really draw you in. So it's all possible. I think it's only a matter of time, and it's very hard for humans to distinguish between what's real and what's not. I think we've proven that with virtual reality. It still feels scary standing on a cliff edge if you're wearing a VR headset. And I think the same thing with celebrities. We forget that they are real almost. So I think those lines are quite blurred. But just like any tech in the world, it's down to the humans to create them ethically. And that's what we always try to do. It's really important, And at Sequoia, which is the Particle 6 AI talent studio, which is where we create these AI characters, that's really where we have built, we have a whole AI policy on what we feel is the right ethical way to create an AI character or an actor. And then, we have a lot of legal frameworks obviously in place. So we never make any references to any copyrighted material. or any trademarks. We make sure that, the trademark's available for the characters. There's lots and lots of, not loopholes. What do you like? Hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
Hoops to jump through in order to create the level of quality that we had with Tilly Norwood. And I think that's why she, blew up, because she looked so real and so much better than anything else we'd seen up until that point. And that is still human effort going into it.
Mm-hmm. And, you mentioned she's a little bit rebellious, a little bit out there. Do you think she's mirroring her creator?
Definitely. I think just like any writer, you have aspects of your own personality in your characters for sure.
So as I was preparing for this interview, I read about your AI risk assessments, which, very much goes back to what you were discussing in terms of building those, specific parameters. For me, bringing this back to our marketing audience, number one, for me, I see the opportunity as being able to tell stories that we could literally not be able to tell before, right? But that unlocks an AI first pipeline, right? If this is being done correctly, these characters are enabling marketers to reach their audiences. Do you think the world is ready for an AI first pipeline?
So we're doing lots of content already with AI at Particle 6. So, we're creating, I was telling you, like we did a Christmas ad in 6 weeks instead of 6 months, just in November, which did really well. And what surprised me was that with an AI ad, we were able to double the industry benchmark for emotional connection with the ad, which I was like, oh, great. This proves that actually people can emotionally connect with AI ads, which I wasn't sure if it was true. It was. And then secondly, so I think people are ready for AI marketing content. That's fine if it looks good. Like people don't want that AI gloss. So we work really hard on making sure that things look really real. Like the texture is super important when it comes to AI content. And then with characters, I think people are ready. I think people think it's fun, it's playful, and that's what it should be, and it's all additive. So we shouldn't be taking jobs away from people. That the whole point is we're creating jobs and we're retooling and reskilling people from the traditional content, film and TV industry. We're bringing editors on board and converting them to AI editors. We're bringing production designers on board, converting them, costume designers, directors, you name it. Everyone is being retooled and reskilled, which I think is really important. So again, like let's see the positive in this, because this AI storm's coming anyway. So we can't stop it. So I'm like, okay, well, how are we going to navigate this in a positive and ethical way?
And would you agree that fundamentally, specifically in boardrooms, the attitude has changed, where last year there was nervousness, a bit of excitement. There was a lot of resistance towards the end of last year. Do you think 2026, looking ahead, the attitude has shifted to, right, we're embracing this, we're moving forward?
Yeah, and I think we were a little bit ahead in the UK, because last year I think the UK was ready. Like we were used to small budgets, so we were like, anything to help us, we'll take it. But now you're really seeing a top-down approach. So it's usually the C-suite that's like, we must implement AI in our strategy. And then it's the people a bit lower down that are like, oh, I don't know how we do this. So it's still a lot of learning. But what's great for us is when people have actually started using the AI tools and they sort of know what's possible, but they still find it a bit difficult, because this is the other thing, is people think, oh, it's AI, it's super easy, you'll just press a button and be done. And then they try it, which is great. And then they come to us and they go, can you now do this professionally? Mm-hmm. So it's also great that people have tried it, because it means that they understand how difficult it is. And they also understand how it works, because it works completely different to the normal production workflow. Completely. I mean, it's wonderful how different it is, because you sort of edit in your head as a director before you shoot. So yeah, the whole pipeline changes. It's like post-production comes first.
Yeah. So I understand you're building a universe of autonomous digital stars. Mm-hmm. From my reading. How do you see the relationship between humans and those digital stars?
So I think a human creator behind each of those stars is really important. So we have writers and creators coming up with these characters. We're also building a whole universe around Tilly. Stay tuned. She's going to get all sorts of people come into her life, AI people. I think, yeah, I think this is going to happen more and more, but it's all about making them thorough. So everyone can go on VO3 and create an AI actor like this, right? But will they have depth to them and a story to them? Will they blow up like Tilly Norwood? Probably not. So you still have to do the character development that you do. That's why it doesn't surprise me that me as an actor, I've come up with the first AI actor, because actors breathe life into characters. And that's what I've done with Tilly is, there's life in her somehow in a weird way. And that's why she's different. And I think that human effort really makes a difference. So, if, there's, that's what makes it fun as well. That's what makes them different. But my background was always in characters and digital content and virality. I mean, I had many viral hits, almost 1 billion views on all the content I'd made before. So it didn't surprise me that, we were touching a nerve, and we were, we felt the general public with Tilly when we brought her out, because I think she represented everyone's fear around it. I mean, it's my work as an artist, really, is to tap into that and to represent and put a mirror up to the world and show it back at them. And I think I did that.
So this technology is moving incredibly fast. For a creative director, a CMO who's looking at this and feeling slightly overwhelmed, what should they be doing today to start building their own AI first strategy?
Gosh, so I mean, we work directly with clients a lot of the time at Particle 6 to help them figure this out, because it's a whole new landscape, and they can do much more testing, they can do more creative ideas. There's just more you can do with AI, which is wonderful. And then we also work with creative agencies or any agencies that people would like us to work with. So that's fine. I think starting out by just having a junior play around in either Midjourney or VO3 or Sora is a great place to start, and then to understand what's possible to a certain extent. And then to work together with someone like Particle 6 to plan out your strategy for the year. Also, because timelines are changed completely with AI. The possibilities, the budgets are completely different. We usually say it's about half the time, half the budget to do an AI clip versus the normal one. So like we usually do 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it's needed, half the time, half the budget, but also up to 99% reduction in carbon footprint. Like, that's crazy. People are always so worried about the carbon footprint of AI, but actually real productions, that's where the real waste is. Like, it's crazy what we do on normal sets. So yes, I think it's better and more ethical.
And my very last question is around Particle 6. I want to learn more about what you guys do.
So we have 3 sides to the business. So we have just a normal commercial production arm where we work with lots of big brands and we create adverts for them, for TV, for online, whatever is needed, any content. Then we have a co-production arm in which we do film and TV. So we usually come on board as a co-producer. We make the content together with them creatively and with AI to help them either where they need AI content, where, for example, we had a film that was meant to be 12 million, but with AI, we could do it for 6 million. It was much safer for everybody. It was much better, more ethical, etc. And the carbon footprint was much lower. So everyone felt like it was a much better film. We're looking for experimental projects to do with people, stories they've wanted to tell that they've never been able to. So that's a really creative department, the co-pro film and TV. And then we have Sequoia, which is a separate business, but it's a sister business to Particle 6, which is the AI talent studio.
Right.
And that's where we create these characters that we believe every brand is going to have their own character, their own brand ambassador. And we create like everything around this character. So their whole backstory. We work, forever to keep iterating, to find out what the name is that you can trademark, that feels right for the character. It's like basically a whole brand identity in a character, which is really fun, in my opinion. And then we bring them to life. So this is the next stage, is we are building their brains. We make sure that there's good guardrails in place. So they don't talk about things you don't want them to talk about. And we are now in the process of bringing them to the world, and you can interact with them.
Eline, thank you so much. That was really fascinating to get your perspective on where the industry's heading and the starring role that AI and Tilly could soon be playing in helping brands build relationships with their customers. Thank you all for watching and joining us today. Please check out Particle 6 and Tilly Norwood in the comments below. There'll be a link to the relevant sites. Please don't forget to hit subscribe, give us a like, give us a comment, and we'll see you next time on Distilled.